just came out, it's raining a little bit now, and I thought I would look under the bottom of each gutter just to see how much water is actually dripping from the bottom. I am outside at the garage where we are doing a test of a number of different gutter protection systems. One of the questions we occasionally get from people who have put new gutter guards on their house, it's question and or complaint we get from folks, is the amount of water that drips off the bottom of the gutter when it's raining. So, as you can imagine, water is not only coming off the roof, it's also falling out of the sky, and that creates an opportunity for water to come down the face of the gutter, curl around the bottom of it, and then form a series of beads across the front bottom of the gutter. Generally, that's normal activity and not something that is caused specifically by the gutter guard. But I just came out, it's raining a little bit now, and I thought I would look under the bottom of each gutter just to see how much water is actually dripping from the bottom. And the results are a little bit surprising. So stay tuned and I'll show you how each system's performing. I'm below the MasterShield system, which is on the right side of the garage. I'm on the north side of the garage as well, just for perspective, because as you know, we're testing both on the north and the south side. MasterShield has a drip edge, and you can see that drip edge right here that helps kick leaves and debris away from the face of the gutter. In this particular case, you can also see how water droplets are forming on the edge of the drip edge, and then it's just dripping to the ground. So if you look at the face of the gutter itself, you can see it's mostly dry. And then if you look to the underside, you don't see any water droplets forming under there. And that's not to say that it wouldn't happen, but right now, for the amount of rain that we're getting, which is more of a strong sprinkle than anything, you can see that it is in fact keeping the face of the gutter dry and the underside of the gutter dry. The next system is LeafFilter. LeafFilter was designed by the same guy who invented MasterShield, so MasterShield actually came after LeafFilter, and you can see here also with a drip edge on the front of it that this gutter is staying dry. So there's no discernible watermarks on the front of the gutter or at the bottom. Because it's got that drip edge on it, it is also keeping the face of the gutter mostly dry and the bottom underside of the gutter dry. The next system is LeafSolution. It is, as you can see here, a couple things are going on. It does not have a drip edge on the front of it, and what do you see as a result? You see a lot of water droplets forming on the face of the gutter, and you see a whole series of water droplets forming on the base of the gutter, the underside of the gutter, coming all the way across. You can actually see a fair bit of dripping occurring. So the dripping is actually not really stemming, I don't think so much from the gutter guard, but you can see right above it there's a little stick that's a twig that is hanging over the edge, and so water's just following the path along that twig. It drips down the front edge of the gutter at a faster rate than if there were nothing up there, and that's why you see this dripping happening. But there is a whole lot more water on the face of this gutter, and water droplets forming to the underside of the gutter simply because there's not a drip edge up there to keep the water away from the face of the gutter. The fourth system in line is what we call Leaflock, also known as GutterLove. It is a MasterShield manufactured product, and very similar to the LeafSolution in that there's a fair bit of water that has kind of beaded up on that upper lip, just at the transition between the front lip of the the gutter and coming around the corner. It's actually doing a better job than LeafSolution across the middle portion. Not as much water coming across there. And then it also has some water droplets along the base of the gutter on the underside of it. But it seems to actually be a little bit more controlled than the LeafSolution system is. This is the MicroScreen product, the kind of the high-end DIY product, and the mid-grade professionally installed product from GutterGlove. This is the type of screen that they are heavily promoting these days, and you can see that there's a fair bit of water that is forming on the front face of the gutter, and you can also see how it is dripping in some cases off the bottom of the gutter. So not only do you have water forming on the face itself, you've got the water droplets on the underside of it, and it is dripping off. So in terms of this system, it's consistent with both LeafSolution and the GutterLove / Leaflock product, and but it does seem to be a little worse faring than the Leaflock, and maybe marginally better, if not similar to the LeafSolution product in terms of its dripping off the face and its formation of water droplets across the face of the gutter guard, or excuse me, across the face of the gutter. The last one we have up here is the Clean Mesh solution. It too, because it doesn't have a drip edge, it is a micro mesh that's more akin to MasterShield and maybe LeafFilter, but it has more of a similar design to the MasterShield product. It also does not have a drip edge on it, and you can kind of see how the water is beating up just around the top edge of the gutter there. It's not as bad in the middle, and you do have some water droplets that are forming at the base with a little bit of dripping occurring as well. So now that we've looked at each of the systems that are up there, all 6 systems, if you were to rate a winner in this particular test, and really to kind of address the questions that folks have about what they sometimes perceive as an increased amount of water that's coming over the face of their gutter, a system that has a drip edge on it, such as a MasterShield or a LeafFilter, are going to do a better job in terms of diverting the water away from the face of the gutter, which is in turn going to keep a larger percentage of the water from formulating as droplets on the underside of the gutter. So in this particular case, the winners of this one, I would call it a tie, essentially a draw. It's ostensibly the same sort of design with the drip edge that's on it, would be both the MasterShield and the LeafFilter. I thought I'd take a minute to show you the gutter guards and see how they're performing at this point. The gutter guards have been up for, I would say, about a month.